I was the rich idiot everyone hates. The bad guy in the story. The medication that someone put in my champagne was hitting hard. I leaned against the wall and told my fiancée Sophia to come over. A room for me. That's when he got involved. Leo Vance, the hero of this story who made himself famous, his face was a mask of chilly contempt as he told the narrative. He said, "Sterling," his voice oozing with disdain, "Sophia is an employee, not your personal servant. You think you can order everyone around?" I observed the flicker of annoyance on Sophia's face, though it wasn't directed at him. A cold clarity washed over me. I turned to my friend Mike Thompson, who was watching the whole soap drama develop. "Mike," I said, my voice steady, "I'm handing you that new development project. Your first task? Get this moron out of my face." Leo's face flushed with rage. "You think you can solve everything by tossing money around? Might just shove him aside. Look, Vance, this is their business. Why don't you do us all a favor and mind your own?" The charity gala was a whirl of crystal and calm chatting. I'd been drugged, and the room was starting to spin. I braced myself against a marble column as Sophia Reed, my fiancée, shot me a gaze of absolute frost. She scanned the crowd, then leaned in, her words a scathing whisper. "Get it together, Carter," she snarled. "Stop pretending to feeling dizzy. Everyone's staring. Do you have any idea how awful this is?" As my eyelids fluttered open, a flood of dizziness hit me. But it wasn't from the drug. It was a sudden, abrupt influx of information. A tale. My story. It came out I was a character in a sleazy business drama, the arrogant, useless trust fund villain, and Sophia, the brilliant scholarship student my family had bankrolled for years, was the novel's heroine. Ambitious and ferociously skilled, she harbored a special hatred for guys like me, who'd been born on third base and thought they'd hit a triple. After joining my family's company, Sterling Holdings, she met the story's hero, Leo Vance, a CEO who claimed to loathe money as much as she did. A match made in hypocritical heaven, they started their little relationship while surviving off the resources my family provided, all while ridiculing me behind my back for being a spoilt brat who thinks his money makes him God's gift. The goal. They were designed to gut Sterling Holdings, taking our vital tech and client lists, pushing the company into bankruptcy. My family's legacy would be destroyed. My parents would be ill with grief. And while I rotting in prison, they'd be toasting their accomplishment, talking about how true value comes from achievement and dignity, not wealth. And this instant right now was the initiating incident. The scenario where I, feeling bad at a gala, approached Sophia for help, only for the hero must step in, defend her honor, and launch their love story. I straightened up, forcing myself to stand tall. Beneath the weight of the guests' inquiring stares, before I could respond, a righteous voice broke through the air. "What do you think you're doing, Sterling? Does having money make you so special? Sophia may have accepted your family's scholarship, but she's here on her own merit. She's not your assistant. You have no right to order her around. It's arrogant and sad." I turned to confront a man with a cocky, condescending smile. Leo Vance, CEO of some mid-tier tech business, making a modest reputation for himself. He'd been eyeing Sophia since she stepped in. When I'd asked her to help me, and she'd firmly rejected, he saw his opening. I laughed, a cold, biting sound. Without my family's money, Sophia would still be in some dead-end town in the middle of nowhere. I retorted. I paid for her Ivy League MBA. I offered her a senior position right out of school. I've spent about $1 million on her over the years. So, yeah, I suppose I can ask her to help me with my tie if I damn well like. Leo's brow furrowed in a display of performative integrity. Sophia's accomplishment is her own doing. She would have made it with or without your family donations. Using your generosity to dominate her is just selfish. He scoffed. Besides, difficulty creates character. I guarantee that without your aid, she'd be even more successful than you are now. Sophia had definitely had enough of my attitude long ago. With someone finally advocating her, she stared at Leo with a mixture of thankfulness and something softer, more compassionate. "Thank you, Leo," she said, her voice loaded with emotion. Leo, gorgeous and projecting an atmosphere of calm strength, gave her a reassuring smile that made her blush. "Sophia, you should never have to put up with uneven treatment," he said gently. "Don't worry about losing Sterling's support. With your talent, any organization would be lucky to have you. My door is always open. You don't have to tolerate this kind of humiliation. You talk a lot, I grumbled, rolling my eyes. The whispers from the crowd were getting on my nerves. Thankfully, the medicine wasn't too strong. I wasn't going to entirely lose control. I turned to my friend Mike Thompson, who was standing close. Mike, I'm getting dizzy. Get a doctor up to my suite. And that new waterfront project we talked about, it's yours. Mike's eyes lit up. He was the son of a wealthy family, but lacked any real control in his own company. He was starving for a serious project to prove himself. As Mike started to move, Leo blocked his path. Don't enable him, Thompson. We can't let people like these think they can get away with anything. Mike moved him out of the path without a second thought. Vance, have you lost your mind? Stay out of other people's business if you wish to live a long life. Now get out of my way. Leo stared at Mike with bewilderment. Mike, I can't believe you've descended this low. You're running for PR director of the Business Alliance, remember? How can you sell out your ideals for one project only to aid this pampered brat? Mike scoffed. Helping Carter is my choice, Vance. The project is his to offer. If you're that anxious to play the hero, go ahead. Nobody's stopping you. Leo's face transformed from red to white. I wouldn't touch his charity. He turned back to Sophia. Let me take you home. Sophia, you shouldn't have to be around him. Sophia thanked him with a warm grin, a dramatic contrast to the steely stare she'd given me moments earlier. As I walked away, Mike murmured, "What a psycho," under his breath before turned to me with a grin. Don't worry, Carter. I'll have a doctor sent up quietly. The hotel personnel will deal things here. Mike managed the problem well, keeping my name out of the gossip sections. No headline tomorrow would read, "Local heir has drug-fueled meltdown at charity gala." He was more skilled than people credited him credit for. We never found out who drugged the drink. It was probably simply a random glass I picked up. Just my luck as the intended villain. Bad things happen for no cause. Before Mike left, I gave him the contact info for the project lead. He took the business card, looking like he was about to jump for excitement. He started thanking me, calling me his savior. But just as he was ready to walk away, his phone buzzed. His demeanor darkened suddenly. "What is it?" I asked, sensing trouble. Mike hesitated, then show me his phone. "It's that self-righteous prick, Leo. He's posting on the Business Alliance's LinkedIn group, telling everyone I have no ethics and that I'm your family's lapdog. He's also asking everyone not to vote for me in the future election, insinuating I'm involved in some dirty deals with you." I peered at the screen. Leo had a great network, and his post was already generating traction. I'm with Leo on this one. Integrity is everything in our circle. Mike Thompson's behavior is a shame to our reputation. Exactly. We're entrepreneurs attempting to produce genuine value, not suck up to some trust fund kid. That Sophia Reed appears really talented. I wonder if she's looking to jump ship from Sterling Holdings. Leo promptly reacted to that last comment. I respect Sophia's professionalism enormously. I'm already in talks to bring her over to my firm. I hope you'll all support her when she joins. I let out a bitter laugh. Were these folks actually offended by my behavior, or were they just jealous that I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth? "What's so funny?" Mike questioned. I shook my head. Nothing. "Hey, do you know how to apply for a place on the Business Alliance board?" Mike looked bewildered. "Yeah, I've got the forms." "Why?" I smiled. "Give me one." A few days later, the New York Business Alliance had its quarterly meeting. Company representatives filed entering the conference room. When Sophia spotted me, she gave a double take. We worked in different departments and hadn't met paths since the gala. Originally, as a condition of my family support, she promised my father she'd watch out for me at the company. But she'd long since grown tired of my arrogance. Leo was correct. Sterling Holding funded her because they saw her potential. Why should she have to bend and scrape before me? Now that she was established, she believed Sterling Holdings needed her more than she needed them. Leo spotted me too, and his brow furrowed. What's he doing here? Seeing Sophia's stare linger on me, he swiftly added, "Don't worry, the alliance is full with respectable people. They would never let a spoiled brat like Carter Sterling join and tarnish the organization's reputation." The presentations began. Leo was one of the first to take the podium. "Everyone," he continued, "I am standing for vice president of this alliance. As you all know, my organization is built on a basis of ethics. Unlike others' heirs who think they can merely buy their way to the top, we will not allow unfair competition. With my leadership, we can ensure the quality and reputation of every initiative our coalition undertakes." He flashed a meaningful stare in my and Mike's direction. Leo was just an ordinary member and didn't stand much of a chance for VP before, but since Mike's reputation had taken a damage, he saw an opening and seized it. Soon after Leo, it was Sophia's turn. She was running for Director of Public Relations. A junior manager like her wouldn't typically be eligible, but Leo had pulled some strings utilizing his upstanding character platform to nominate her and rally support. Her speech was a wonderfully written account of how she balanced a hard work and personal growth, all while dealing with a challenging employer, me, to ultimately accomplish exceptional achievements and become a department manager. When she finished, the board members nodded in appreciation. Even the Alliance president said, "That's an impressive young woman." Leo gave her a knowing smile. "Excellent." A short while later, it was my turn. I walked onto the stage bearing not a speech, but a hefty project proposal. The board members stared at each other perplexed. They'd seen presenters with notes with tablets, but never with a full-blown business plan. Ignoring their weird expressions, I clear my throat. "Hello, everyone. I'm running for vice president. My strengths are invention and execution. If you elect me, I promise a 30% gain in Alliance membership and a 50% increase in our public influence within 1 year. This plan describes exactly how I'll achieve it." I had my assistant distribute copies of the plan. Leo's facepad. He shot to his feet, pointing a finger at me. "Everyone in this coalition earned their seat by merit. You have no meaningful experience. This is all just meaningless words. You're trying to trick everyone." I met his gaze straight. "Sophia is a rookie too. What real experience does she have that I don't? She's hardworking and honest. She doesn't cut shortcuts. The Alliance needs people like her, not some Nepo baby who thinks he can waltz in here and take over because of his family name." Sophia chipped in, her face full of disdain. "Carter, do you believe these individuals are your ignorant friends? That they'll fall for your hollow promises? Nobody here is impressed by your cheap words." I just shrugged. The outcomes would speak for themselves. 5 minutes later, the ballots were tabulated. Next to the title of vice president in prominent letters was my name, Carter Sterling. Leo was aghast. "Why? Why did you vote for him?" A senior member raised his hand. "I did. Between two rookies, I'd rather choose the one with a strong idea and the determination to see it through." Others swiftly agreed. "Mr. Sterling's concept is great. It might offer up new chances for the Alliance." I read his suggestion. "His analysis is sharp, and the potential is great. Better to innovate than to stagnate. It's nice to have someone with fresh enthusiasm." Finally, the Alliance president offered his mark of approval. My concept was simply too compelling to ignore. Even he was won over by the thorough strategy. Leo's face was a mask of wrath. Not only had I taken the VP post, but thanks to my endorsement, the PR director place walked to Mike Thompson. Now, both he and Sophia were left with nothing. He gestured to the other members in the room, his voice quivering with wrath. "I thought you were all business leaders, but you're just a bunch of brown-nosing social climbers. So, he's a privileged child. So what? People like Sophia and myself, people with values, will ultimately be more successful than him. You all disappoint me. I'm done with this partnership." With comment, he grabbed Sophia's hand and rushed out of the conference room. The remaining members glanced at each other uncomfortable. Leo appears really furious. Should someone go talk to him? He was usually a responsible member, one of them remarked nervously. That's when I spoke up with a smile to celebrate tonight. "I'm throwing a dinner at Purr's. I hope you can all make it." The mood switched suddenly. Responsible. Who says he's the only one who thinks he's God's gift to business? The Alliance isn't going to collapse without him. Exactly. Just because he thinks dirty doesn't imply we do. Who is he to judge us? After the meeting, I stopped by the office to grab some files. When I headed downstairs, Arthur, my family's driver, was waiting. Seeing me alone, he asked, "Mr. Carter, where is Miss Sophia? Did you two have another argument?" Sophia comes from an impoverished background. Her family went into difficulty when she was in college, and she almost had to drop out. My father stepped in supporting her studies, and she joined our company upon graduation. In the original writing, I was passionately smitten with her, and only after hard pursuing did she reluctantly decided to be my fiancée. We, still fought constantly. Mostly she would give me the cold shoulder, and I would have to ask for her forgiveness. So Arthur's query was understandable, but now I just scoffed. She doesn't have the right to argue with me. As of today, she has nothing to do with the Sterling family. Thankfully, our engagement was merely a verbal arrangement. I could just pretend it never transpired. Arthur looked astonished. Just then, Sophia strolled out of the building and observed the Maybach. A smirk played on her lips. Same old ploy, she thought. Everything I did was just a frantic attempt to grab her attention, to push her to surrender. I could say the cruelest things, but here was the driver waiting to take her home as always. She sneered and turned towards the metro station. She wouldn't get in the car. She would wait until I broke down and called for her, and then she would unleash all of her pin-up frustration. Sophia walked with confidence, expecting to hear my voice any second. But by the time she reached the subway door, there was just quiet. She peered back, bewildered, only to see the street where the Maybach had been parked was now empty. Her face sank. She tried to reassure herself, thinking that if she just adhered to her convictions and refused to be bought, I would ultimately come crawling back like a weak S. Meanwhile, I was already home at our Greenwich estate. The first thing I did was withdraw Sophia's access from the security system. Then I took a long, hot shower, drank a glass of Cabernet, and settled onto the couch with a copy of the Wall Street Journal. By the time Sophia had navigated the metro, a bus, after ultimately an Uber, she arrived at the mansion, fatigued and enraged. She pushed the intercom button again while yelling under her breath, "How can Arthur go without me? They all spoiled Carter rotten. This time I'm going to lay down the law." A chilly robotic voice reacted to her outraged jabs. Identity authentication failed. Please try again. Sophia froze, then tried again and again. Multiple authentication failures. System locked. The next minute, harsh floodlights locked her in place. "Who's there?" a voice yelled out. Sophia shaded her eyes from a glare. "It's me, Sophia Reed. Let me in." The new security guard didn't recognize her. His tone was polite but strong. "I'm sorry, Miss Reed. Without Mr. Sterling's authorization, we cannot allow anyone onto the property." "What do you mean anyone?" she snapped. "I live here." The guard sounded puzzled. "Then why did the biometric scanner not recognize you?" Sophia's face clouded over. She knew the passcode, of course, but she never dreamed Carter would be foolish enough to alter it and wipe her biometrics. This had to be his way of teasing her, of trying to make her beg. Normally, she would have turned around and left, but today, she was bone exhausted, and her wrath needed a target. She flashed the guard a furious glance and dialed my number. I was enjoying the view of the city lights from my living room window, swirling the wine in my glass. When the phone rang, I answered nonchalantly, only to be confronted by Sophia's furious voice. "Carter, what kind of game are you playing now? Do you think changing the password is going to stop me? Open the gate. Stop acting like a child." I giggled quietly and hung up. Sophia glanced at her phone, her expression getting uglier by the second. She swore to herself that the moment she got inside, she would give me a piece of her mind, but she waited, and the big iron gate stayed locked. Her rage boiling over, and she called me again. "Carter, are you going to open this gate or not?" I lay back on the sofa, taking a cautious sip of wine. "Open the gate. Why would I do that? And this wine is fantastic, by the way." She was virtually shouting now. "If you don't open it, how am I meant to come in? This is my house. What are you doing here? Don't tell me you're homeless, Sophia." She sounded dubious. "Carter, is this because I wouldn't pander to your every whim? Is this how you treat me?" Our connection was entirely contractual, benefactor and beneficiary. I don't need you to pander to me, and declaring that this is my house is a reality, not an insult. I was about to hang up again, but Sophia was convinced this was just another one of my rants. She snarled, "Stop playing word games with me, Carter. It was your family that begged me to come here in the first place." "I don't recall that, but even if it's true, consider this me imploring you to go." I finished the call and blocked her number. A few minutes later, my father called. "Carter, are you arguing with Sophia? Why did you kick her out?" Thinking about the initial story where my father's firm went bankrupt, a feeling of regret hit me. He was always preoccupied with work and rarely house, but he had always treated Sophia with kindness. I couldn't believe she would betray him like that. I told him everything that had happened at the organization. After listening, his tone got serious. "I had no clue she was so arrogant to the point of disregarding you. Since the sponsorship arrangement has expired, we're done with her. let her go her own way. In the original plot, my father, realizing how dedicated I was to Sophia, knowing how good her work was, had mentored her heavily after graduation, even providing her access to the company's main sections. That was the opening she and Leo needed to bring us down. But now, after hearing what happened, he instantly withdrew any intentions to enhance her career. Meanwhile, Sophia, having presented her case to my father, was waiting for my call, expecting me to apologize. In her mind, she was so talented, and Mr. Sterling admired her so much that he would surely make me back down. She waited all night. Not a single call, not even a text. Just then, a Porsche pulled over. Leo Vance got out, a look of amazement on his face. "Sophia, what are you doing here?" Sophia informed him what had happened. For some reason, she felt an odd connection to him. Leo was furious. "Carter has gone too far. Who does he think he is? You'll show him. You'll become so successful, he'll be compelled to appreciate your worth. Forget about his silly mansion. If you have nowhere to stay, you can come to my apartment." Sophia's eyes welled up with tears. She was deeply moved. Finally, someone who understood her. "Your place? I don't know if that's appropriate. It's all right. It's just me in my apartment most of the time." Leo led her to his condo. It wasn't a magnificent mansion, but it was a huge 2,000 square FT apartment with tasteful modern decor. Sophia gazed around, a faint frown wrinkling her brow. It was nice, but palled in contrast to the world she had just left. Leo seemed a little ashamed. "It's probably not what you're used to, but you can make it work." Sophia shook her head. "No, it's fantastic. Much more comfy than that residence." A smile formed across Leo's face. "Don't worry. I'll never order you around like Carter did. Sophia, I think you're great, attractive, and clever. If you keep working hard, you'll have Carter Sterling eating out of your hand. You'll prove to him that money isn't everything." Sophia thought to herself, "He's right. Even Mr. Sterling Sr. appreciated my abilities and advanced me to manager. That indicates how exceptional I am." She was destined to create a name for herself in the corporate world, and Carter Sterling would be forced to see her in a new way. Across the living room, they exchanged a smile, a flicker of something more than friendship in their eyes. The quarterly meeting of the business association was convened as scheduled. Without me, the villain, getting in their way, Sophia and Leo's romance had flourished. As members, they were compelled to attend the quarterly sessions. Though Sophia maintained no official status, Leo, despite his spectacular leaving, hadn't actually abandoned the alliance. He was always by her side. This time, nevertheless, Sophia arrived with a colleague from her new company. The colleague saw me across the room and nudged Sophia. "Hey, Sophia, isn't that Carter Sterling from Sterling Holdings? I hear you know him. Could you introduce me?" Sophia was hard to focus on the presentation because I had kicked her out and she had jumped ships to Leo's firm. She was resolved to succeed on her own terms and rub it in my face. "Hear my name." She scowled. "Why would you want to meet an arrogant jerk like Carter Sterling? Are you seeking to be humiliated?" Her colleague rolled her eyes. "Are you serious? Sterling Holdings just secured that enormous Hudson Yards deal last month. It's the talk of the industry. A man like that has a right to be a little cocky. A connection like his would be a huge asset for us." Seriously, another coworker chimed up, bending over. "I've heard he's really generous with his staff, always offering out incentives, even if you can't be his girlfriend. Just knowing a person like that is a triumph." It was just normal office gossip, but to Sophia, it felt like they were purposely flaunting my success in her face. While she was struggling to find her foothold in new firm, I was already closing large deals. Sophia's palm tightened around the packet in her lap. Her attention went over to me. I was wearing a fresh white shirt under a navy blue blazer. The sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows produced a lovely aura around me. I was listening carefully to the speaker, one hand propping up my chin while the other wrote notes in a leather-bound notebook. Watching me, an odd thought entered her mind. When he's focused on work, he's not so bad looking. Just as she was lost in thought, Leo arrived. He had come early to surprise her, but instead, he discovered her staring intently at me. After the meeting, I gathered my stuff to leave. Suddenly, Leo was standing my way. "Sterling, don't think for a second believe putting on a show for Sophia is going to work. She'll never fall for a condescending trust fund baby like you." "Excuse me," I said, honestly confused. I was just sitting here, and drama found me. The conference room wasn't empty yet, and a few individuals stayed, sensing a scene. Isn't that Leo Vance, the startup guy? Leo, what's going on? Recognizing he had an audience, Leo felt empowered. He broke into a rage. I'm sure you all know Carter Sterling, thinks he's above everyone because of his family's money. Back at Sterling Holdings, he was continually giving Sophia a hard time, merely trying to get her attention. A few months ago, he tossed her out of his house in the middle of the night, and now he's putting on this big performance at the Alliance meeting, trying to win her back. Too terrible for him. Sophia is one of my top persons now. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This guy was delusional. First of all, I said, my voice dangerously peaceful, that is a private property owned by my family. Sophia was a guest. When her contract finished, I asked her to leave. What's wrong with that? Second, this is an obligatory Alliance meeting. As a representative of Sterling Holdings, of course, I'm here. That's impossible. I've gone to the last 2 meetings with Sophia, and I never saw you. That's because I was busy with a new project, landing many important accounts for my company. Surely you've heard about them. Leo's face froze. He hadn't heard. He'd been so wrapped up with Sophia that he had stopped paying attention to what was happening in the industry. Just then, Sophia stepped over, her face a thundercloud. Leo instantly grasped her arm. Sophia, is he troubling you again? She flashed him a look that could freeze fire. His voice hadn't been hushed. Now everyone knew she'd been kicked out of someone's house. She battled the temptation to rip her arm away and murmured through harsh teeth, "We'll discuss back in the office." She turned and walked out without another word. Leo scowled at me one last time before running after her. As she departed, Sophia glanced back at me. She thought about her coworkers approving whispers about my success, then looked at the furious, petty man next to her. A mixed emotion began to stir within her. For the first time, she started to wonder if quitting Sterling Holdings had been the correct decision after all. After that day, I immersed myself in work. Having seen my future, I understood that I couldn't rely on anyone else. I had to become stronger. Even if I couldn't expand the firm like my father did, I had to at least assure its stability. My father was skeptical that I, his privileged son, had the grit to handle the pressure. After I spoke with him, he made me a deal. If I could lead our division to the top rating in the Business Alliance annual review, he would publicly select me as a successor. Meanwhile, Sophia, who having been laser-focused on her career, was becoming sidetracked. One morning, I had just finished my workout at the office gym when I got a message on WhatsApp. "Can we talk?" I peeked at the name. It was Sophia. Wiping the sweat off my forehead, I looked over our previous conversation history. I had to admit, I used to be persistent. There were dozens of my mails for every one of hers, and her replies were invariably clipped and icy. I sneered and blocked her number. 6 months went by. At the next Alliance Summit, Sterling Holdings was rated #1 in performance. As its spokesperson, I was chosen to give the keynote speech. Dressed in a tailored suit, I stood beneath the limelight, confident and in command. Sophia sat in the audience, her eyes fixated on me. After the event, I was back in my office sorting my notes when the door opened without a knock. Sophia stood there, arms folded, her gaze focused. "What do you want?" I inquired, frowning. "I want to talk to you, Carter. Why did you block me?" I chuckle. "You really have to ask?" My objective was to cut her off altogether, but Sophia, misinterpreting my attitude, burst into a confident smile. "I know now, Carter. This is just one of your games, isn't it? Push and pull." "Are you serious?" Sophia stepped deeper into my office, holding up her phone. She hadn't removed my contact, so our one-sided conversation history was still there. "You used to chase me relentlessly, and I disregarded you," she replied. "So you became angry. You blocked me to attract my attention, to make me come to you, and demanded to be added back." I almost laughed out loud. "Sophia, are you mentally okay?" "There you go again, being defensive." "I've seen right through you, Carter." She let her eyes roam over me. "I've seen how much you've changed these past several months. I have to confess, your little tactic worked." I glanced at my watch impatiently. "Can you please speak English?" Sophia smirked. "It's as they say online, isn't it? To attract a high-value individual, you have to become one. Yourself. I warned you previously that you had no business sense. Is that why you've been striving so hard to impress me, to finally grab my attention? You have a persecution complex. I'm doing this for myself. It has nothing to do with you. You genuinely think the world revolves around you, don't you?" Besides, I added, with the transactions I've concluded, you think I'm striving to be worthy of you. I'm so far out of your leagues, not even funny. Sophia's brow furrowed. My GPA in college was greater than yours. Doesn't that imply I'm superior? Your own father sensed my potential and wanted to nurture me to be a leader at the company. He recognized my skill. Let's face it, Carter, even without your family's resources, someone like me will always land on their feet. I gave her a patronizing smile. Well, why don't you go land on your feet, and then we'll chat. As she stood there, furious, I transmitted the audio I had just recorded of our conversation to Mike. Send this to Leo Vance. I strolled around her like a piece of furniture and left my office. I had just gone out of the building after work when Leo Vance raced up to me, his face crimson with wrath. Carter, what the hell was that recording you sent me? Are you trying to throw a wedge between me and Sophia? I sneered. A wedge. She came to my office to talk about whether I was worthy of her. Don't you think you should be asking your partner what's going on? I trust Sophia. I don't trust you, he continued, peering at me with mistrust. I've heard all about how you used to be enamored with her, but she wasn't interested in a useless trust fund kid like you. Give it up. These pathetic little tricks won't split us up. We both have ideals. We'll never bow down to you. He destroyed the tape in front of me and went off. I grinned and peered at the corner of the street. Sophia was standing there. She hadn't stepped in when Leo was addressing me. She had started to walk over, but when she saw me calm and controlled, and then looked at Leo, spewing with impotent wrath, her feet were rooted to the spot. After a long moment, Sophia turned and she headed back to her office. Leo had brought her a saddle-looking desk salad for dinner. She picked it listlessly while he prattled on. The company's expenses are extremely high this month. Our cash flow is growing tight. We might have to cut back next month. Sophia, maybe we should start taking on lesser projects just to keep the lights on. Sophia nodded distractedly. Okay. The next day, Leo was ecstatic. I landed a modest project. The profit margin is thin, but it'll alleviate our urgent cash situation. We'll be stable for a little while. However, when Sophia accompanied Leo to the client appointment, the building seemed increasingly familiar. This was a spot she used to frequent when she worked at Sterling Holdings. When I stepped out of the conference room and saw the two of them, I grimaced. Can't these two just disappear? It turned out the project was being overseen by my uncle. He had a last-minute situation and asked me to handle the initial meeting. I let them inside the conference room. As soon as she arrived, Sophia started glancing about, a complex expression on her face. After today's meeting, I told them coolly, "Your company will no longer be involved with this project." Leo sprung his feet. What? On what grounds, Sterling? This isn't your personal project. You have no right to kick us off. I'll explain the matter to my uncle and offer another partner. Your company's business worldview doesn't connect with ours. A cooperation would be challenging. And frankly, I don't want your lack of professionalism to compromise the project's deadline. Carter, you're abusing your power, Leo shouted, pointing a finger at me. We worked hard to get this project, and you're going to trash it with one word. You're a tyrant. No surprise Sophia can't tolerate you. My face tightened. When it comes to hard work, I doubt you can equal me. And besides, I have every reason to refuse to work with you. Aren't you two usually going on about how ethical you are? Why are you suddenly so desperate for this tiny little contract? His comments hit their mark. Leo and Sophia looked completely mortified. Sophia peered at me. A disappointment obvious. Carter, I thought you had evolved, but you're still the same petty child. Don't worry, I will never have anything to do with you again. She couldn't believe she had ever felt a flicker of hope for this spoiled brat. I crossed my arms and scowled. Thinking back on everything, I decided to let them have it. Good. I don't want anything to do with any of you ever again. But before you go, I have a few things to say. Sophia, stop acting like Sterling Holdings owes you something. You pretend to be so high and powerful that your dignity is more important than everything. The fact is, you're just frightened of people muttering that you slept your way to the top. If I hadn't been so enamored with you, would you have lingered around attempting to suck off my family for so long? The color drained from Sophia's face. Leo rushed forward to defend his girlfriend, but I turned on him. And you, business over everything, a man of lofty values. You're a joke. You merely saw Sophia's talent and connections and believed you could use her to go ahead. You two are a wonderful fit, a pair of devious schemers. I hope you're extremely happily together. I buzzed my secretary and directed her to show them out. Before she was removed the building, Sophia took me one final deep look. "Don't be so smug, Carter. You think I care about your money? I graduated with honors. My work speaks for itself. And one day, I'll start my own prosperous company. The day will come when you regret this. And don't come begging for me to come back." She delivered her parting blow with flourish. A month later, at another project bidding conference, their company didn't even make the shortlist. At the top of the list, in bold letters, was Sterling Holdings. Sophia looked like she'd been struck by lightning. Impossible. How could Carter be doing better than me? I have more experience, a better network. Once is a fluke, but how can he keep winning? All her life, she had been at the top of her class, the star performer. She had always believed she was a prodigy, that any project she desired was hers for the taking. But now, she felt a seismic change. Something had profoundly changed. Leo saw the data too, and his face clouded. "What happened, Sophia? This project was our lifeline. The company's running costs and marketing expenses have burnt through all its liquid capital. Without this project, they were facing bankruptcy. Sophia couldn't accept that." "Well, say something." "Sophia, without this contract, how are we going to make it through the next quarter?" The truth of the situation suddenly hit her. The blow of losing to me had already broken her soul. She had no energy to think about logistics. "How should I know?" she snapped. "You're the one running the company, aren't you? Can't you figure it out?" That was the last straw. The dam of Leo's stress finally cracked. "How can you say something so heartless?" "Sophia, aren't we in this together? The wage, the privileges, everything you enjoy. I made sure you had the best," he roared. "You call yourself a top talent, but you can't even land a single job. Do you expect me to run this entire company on my own?" Sophia glanced at him, astonished. "What do you mean I can't land a project? Why are you being so nasty? You never used to be like this, Leo. When did you get so interested with money?" "I'm not obsessed, but a company has to thrive." Sophia gazed at the man before her, haggarded, worn down by reality, and then thought of me, confident and successful at the helm of Sterling Holdings. Suddenly she exclaimed, "You've become so sad. I don't know what I ever saw in you. We're done." She pushed past a dumbfounded Leo and walked out without looking back. Sophia cornered me in the foyer of the Sterling Holdings building. I scowled. "Shouldn't you be at work? What are you doing here?" Her eyes lighted up. "You know about my corporate problem. You're still keeping tabs on me? That implies you do still care. You were just unhappy that I was with Leo, so you retaliated by crushing us on every project. That's it, isn't it?" Her voice grew more confident. "Yes, that has to be it. You've always been possessive. You couldn't handle the rejection. It makes perfect sense that you do something so brutal. You're insane. I don't have time for this. Get out of my building." Okay. Don't be upset anymore. I broke up with Leo. What does your breakup have to do with me?" Sophia stared at me with an expression that was an odd blend of resignation and assurance. "I acknowledge you were right about certain things. I confess you won. You wanted to see me come crawling back. Right? Well, here I am. Stop with the juvenile tantrums. Let's go home tonight. I'll apologize properly. If you can learn to control your temper, we can start over. How does that sound?" I wanted to curse, but my upbringing wouldn't let it. Instead, I grabbed out my phone. "If you don't go now, I'm phoning security and reporting you for harassment." Seeing me actually dial number, Sophia frowned. "Carter, there's a limit to these games. I'm the one extending the olive branch. What more do you want? Do you truly want us to be strangers for the rest of our lives? Don't forget, your father has always recognized my abilities. Sterling Holdings will require me on future initiatives. You'll be relying on me one day. I suggest you don't take this too far. Need you? Are you delusional?" I hissed. "Why would Sterling Holdings need someone who can't even get a basic contract?" Her face tensed. That was only a momentary setback. "Whatever it was, it confirms one thing," I replied, cutting her off. "You were talented once. I'll give you that. But the corporate world is full of talented individuals. The only reason you got as far as you did was because my ancestors built the ladder for you. But you were too dumb and too ungrateful to realize anything. So now you can take your silly pride and go the heck out of my life." While she stood there, stunned and quiet, I turned and went away. In the months that followed, I devoted all my efforts to increasing the company's foreign portfolio. Seeing my hard work and the achievements I created, my father decided to go Allen on my development. He intended to transfer me abroad to oversee several big foreign endeavors. The day I acquired my visa, a surprising piece of news rocked the city's elite circles. I hadn't been paying attention to them, so I heard from Mike. He sent me a torrent of SMS. You won't believe this. Leo's company went bankrupt when Sophia dumped him. He was drowning in debt, about to be evicted. He went to Sophia to borrow some money just to get by, and she branded him a miserable loser who mooches off women. He completely snapped, fetched a knife from somewhere and attacked her, stabbed her numerous times. Witnesses reported there was blood everywhere. Someone called 911. It was too late. She was pronounced dead at the hospital. The cops arrested Leo. His life is ruined. Seriously, why do they have an issue with you? I mean, you're literally the heir to a large fortune. They were picking a battle with money itself. Who in their right mind chooses a battle with money? So bizarre. Reading the notes, I got a peculiar sense of ridiculousness. They were the hero and heroine of a corporate drama. The inspirational celebrities who surmounted every hurdle, always stating that their beliefs were more essential than wealth. But the minute I, the arrogant villain, went off script, their story ended in a terrible, pitiful tragedy. Then again, it wasn't surprising at all, stripped of a novel's ludicrous story techniques, like a villain who gives unlimited resources to the lady who despises him while she cheats on him and tossed into the real world. Their perfect ending could never have been anything but